Good morning, everybody. This channel also features storytelling and poetry. I thought I would do a video regarding our family history in the area. So I grew up here along North Bend Way. I was born in 1974, and this was considered an auto camp. Right in front of you here, this used to be the railroad line going into Seattle, coming from Tanner Mill. So right along this walking path, my uncles and my grandparents would watch loads of lumber coming from Tanner Mill, which was right down there, a couple miles away, going into Seattle. And before that, it was a wagon trail. So in the 1800s, right here where the mail is delivered, you see the mailboxes. Right along here, you see that puddle there, and you see where that pickup truck is. That was the original wagon road coming in. And the Denny party, some of the Denny family, they actually were said to have come this route. So here we are. This is our house and studio. You can see the story pole. That's my wife Laura's tribal story pole, and it is the creation of the world. It's an ancient story, goes back 10,000 years or even older than that in her tribe. She is Dene First Nations, and she is an artist. I carved that pole with the direction of her mother, who's an elder she lives up in Fort Liard, Northwest Territories, Canada. Her mother had a dream and wanted us to create this pole, so she relayed the images over the phone, and then Laura drew out the sections, and then I carved that story pole in celebration of our marriage. So we proudly have it on display, basically saying a native person lives here, and it's her tribal pride, her history, her pride. This used to be my grandparents' house, and my dad lived here when he was a little boy. I spent time here as a little boy as well, and I grew up hearing stories and all kinds of things. So we live in a very beautiful spot, as you can see. You can see Mount Si. You can't complain about the view at all. It's just absolutely amazing. You have Little Si, and then you have Mount Si. I grew up listening to stories about Bigfoot, paranormal, UFOs, and I'm a wood carver. Many of my family members are carvers, so I picked up the tradition of carving, also visual art. But I teach music right out of here, and students come here and they come inside, and one thing that we take pride in is when people come to our house, they maybe arrive in a bad mood, but by the time they leave, they're feeling great. So here's our campfire ring. We do a lot of storytelling around here. And as maybe you've noticed, we have logs sitting around. You got carvings in progress. Some of my students, after lessons, they will come and help work on a carving, such as this Sasquatch here. And it's just kind of a perk of, being a student. Here's the back of the old house. This house was started in about 1931. It was completed in 1932. The Richter's family were the very first people that developed the Orchard View Auto Camp. And you can see this is the last of the orchard. You have a pear tree, you have heirloom apple trees. There's my son's old pickup truck. These are the last of the apples and pear trees. He grafted, my son Parker grafted and saved some of the trees that were cut down. This is the area of the grafting. You can see these little saplings that were grafted onto a root system and then grew from there. But these are all heirloom apples that he saved. He did a really good job. 1932, Bernard Richters was a sculptor. He sculpted in stone. He also sculpted in wood. So he carved wood and he also sculpted in stone. We occasionally find pieces of his sculptures in the bushes while we're landscaping, when we're clearing. We'll find discarded remnants. So I teach music here. A lot of people come. They feel great. We cultivate a spirit of inspiration, creativity. And like I said, folks will come here in a bad mood and they leave in a terrific, wonderful feeling. This is the old wishing well. My grandparents built this in the 50s. And the neighborhood kids in the neighborhood, they used to stand around this wishing well and they would tell stories while waiting for the school bus. Now, I carved a swan and I added it to the middle there. Looks like we need to start weeding here. But we got fig trees growing, we got Oregon grape, we got all kinds of stuff. One of the family legends is that if you make a wish around this wishing well, that your wish will come true. So there are family members and there are friends who have come here and said a prayer and, just said a wish, and their wish was granted. So that's one thing that I think is very magical. So all of this siding goes back to 1950s. There was a siding salesman that showed up from, I think it was Sears, talked my grandfather and my grandparents into purchasing aluminum siding, and that aluminum siding has stayed on the side of the house since the 50s. This is the same aluminum siding, and it's only been painted just recently. It barely needed to be painted, but just recently we did, just because of the wear and tear, the wind and the storms that come through here and the rubbing of branches kind of wore down the paint finally, so it needed a new paint job. Anyway, we're a very historical location. I teach multiple instruments. We also teach history, living history, culture, which includes folklore of the Northwest Woods, folklore and storytelling, and part of the fabric of our community here. So why I'm making this video is just sort of educating you folks on where we are, what we do, and also I want to show you we have a lot of changes happening, and you can see this new structure over here. This is going to be a corporate office for Rainier Asphalt. This is the first time a building of this size is going up. And if you go yonder, you'll see townhomes that are 3 stories high. And this is right next to us. This is what's left of the auto camp. All these little cabins are still standing. All these little cabins are still here. This was the original Orchard View Auto Camp. It now belongs to another owner. This section of our old family property, it belongs to somebody else. It was sold. But the cabins still stand. And the cabins are 1 through 6. There used to be a gas station over here on the other side of this dumpster area. There used to be a Shell gas station that was owned and operated by my family in the 50s and 60s. So 1949 is when my folks moved in here. My family moved in here in 1949. But our family has been in the Snoqualmie Valley since the 1920s. So the Antones have been here for 100 years in the Snoqualmie Valley. So anyway, folks, I believe that we can have art and music and inspiration and a connection to the old right alongside the brand new, and everything can be in balance. That's what we promote. I believe strongly that, we can all support each other and have have music and art and history and culture, and all of that can be combined with new ideas, innovation. We're not opposed to development at all. We just think that a healthy balance of creating new work, creating new music, new writing, new forms of art, and with a direct lineage or a direct connection to the old. And that's what we're all about. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for subscribing. Every once in a while I'm going to do a little storytelling, sharing video, and I just hope it lets you know where we are at and who we are. I really appreciate it. We work very hard at residing in this area, so it takes a lot to keep going, and we're very proud. So everybody, have a wonderful, amazing spring day. You can't beat the sunshine. Look at that.